Now, as I said on Twitter, I saw the Joker movie yesterday. Now, there's a lot of things I want to get into for this. First thing is, why there were losers attacking me on Twitter for having seen it. Now, Nazis, very, very clear white nationalists, were attacking me for seeing it, saying, incel, incel. I'm not an incel. So I don't know what you're talking about there. I just assumed that you're stupid. And then so-called MLs were attacking me, saying, oh, it was just me, this nerd that liked the... Let me tell you something about that movie. There was a very clear class-conscious message to it. It's interesting that so-called MLs were attacking something for being class-conscious. Or maybe they just didn't watch the movie and they're stupid and don't know what they're talking about because they don't like me personally. Probably something pretty good there. Should probably remove that whole ML from your profile if you're going to attack things that are class conscious. You can keep the part about calling yourself queer and listing your pronouns. You can do that. That's right up the liberal alley for you. Now, after having watched the movie, there is nothing in there about inceldom. There's nothing about it in any way, shape, or form. This is a complete fiction by people who didn't watch the movie. Now, one of the interesting things I did see was that Forbes and other elite publications, very heavily and unapologetically towards the capitalist class, they said, or particularly Forbes said, despite saying a lot, there's no clear message. Actually, there is a very clear message, and in fact, there's really no ambiguity about it. They spell it out pretty well. When you have a society in economic crisis creates desperate times. Desperate times create desperate people. And there is a building resentment towards the rich that ends up creating social unrest. One of those things being stark inequality. But apparently Forbes just missed that. I mean, that's the backdrop to the entire story, is a huge economic crisis in which there's rampant unemployment, high crime, and people are really suffering from a severe level of alienation from each other. That's the backdrop to the whole story. Now, again, I'm going to warn about a possible spoiler. That's not much of a spoiler because it doesn't happen that too far into the movie. The Joker is a guy who has severe mental illness, as should be really obvious, before any of the stuff happens. So the city cuts back on social services, and he loses the medications that he's supposed to take. They cut the mental health program, and then he ended up suffering as a result. Now, I don't think that's an angry white male thing. I think that's a society screwing over the most vulnerable people. I mean, I know that a lot of so-called Marxists or so-called leftists don't seem to think that white males can suffer from mental illness, and that when you cut programs when you cut funding to mental health programs or cutting the programs altogether, you're hurting everybody who has a mental illness that relies on those programs, even if they are white and male. I mean, you're supposed to be against that, beating up on a vulnerable section of the population, even if they are white. I mean, that's pretty, to use your own term, ableist.
started this gang called the Proud Boys. started this gang called the Proud Boys. Started this gang called the Proud Boys. A mentally ill stalker who stalks conservatives named Vic Berger. I started this gang called the Proud Boys.
Bye-bye.
Stalker who stalks conservatives named Vic Berger. A mentally ill stalker who stalks conservatives named Vic Berger. A mentally ill stalker who stalks conservatives named Vic Berger.
What has been seen on Dankey Kang's site from the socialist followers of Dankey Kang has been the archetypal reaction of Soviet socialists to the differently abled, and their anarchist brothers and sisters in coalition with the differently abled. It is raw, socialist hatred and envenom for a group that will not and cannot fit into the workers' paradise, people who are left behind in the wake of all the greedy 5-year plans and not so great leaps forward. Whether it is Dankey Kang's malign inner nature or his misguidance by the totalitarian nature of state socialism, the resulting hatred for the differently abled is the same. It is not only unfair and pathetic, it is illegal. We encourage anyone who knows the true identity of Dankey Kang to let us know at this site so we may submit it to the Americans with Disabilities Act for adjudication. Remember, Dankey Kang, you have to be lucky all the time, we only have to be lucky once.